Hot toys are beautiful works of art. What good are they truly if they're sitting in a bad display case? A $300 or more masterpiece is ruined by dust, poor lighting, a cramped display. It ruins the magic. But before we get started, make sure to like the video down below, subscribe to the channel, and click the notification bell so that way you're notified when content goes live here. That said, today we're going to go over the best Hot Toys display cases. Whether you want a budget-friendly option or a premium museum display or a custom setup altogether, this information is going to allow you to make an informed decision on how to display your beautiful Hot Toys collection properly. Thank you guys so much for joining me for another video today. I want to start this video with a more budget conscious option. Somewhat of a newcomer on the market is the Brottar display cabinet. So for new collectors who are just looking to start out, this is a very good option. The Brottar display cabinet that a lot of collectors are going with is a 31.5-inch wide, 65-inch height, and 14-inch depth display case. It's a 4-tier curio model, essentially. It is a wooden MDF frame. It has glass doors, acrylic viewing on the sides, and it also has built-in lights with white, warm, and blue color temperatures where you can adjust the brightness. It's a 4-tier shelved case essentially, and it's a nice budget option for around $200. Of course, one of the biggest pros about the Brottar is the price. At $199, that's pretty affordable for a quality display case. At 65 inches in height and 14 inches in depth, you have enough space to work with here. If you leave a shelf out, you can actually have more room for figures like Carnage and other big figures that have some height involved. You also have good visibility. You have a glass door with dust protection, and you have acrylic viewing on the sides, which gives you a lot of different viewing angles. The built-in lights make it pretty easy. You don't have to go buying Luke lights or anything else. You have built-in lights that you can just plug and play, and then you're good to go. And it does have somewhat of a modern design. It has that curio vibe to it. And I think overall, it's a pretty good value. I mean, depending upon what you're willing to pay for a display case, $200 is a pretty good rate these days. A few collectors have also reported quality control issues. This can happen with a lot of different panels due to shipping, but if you buy somewhere from Amazon, you should certainly be covered. They have great customer service. And on the front of the door, you can actually allow a little bit of dust in, and it can be a little bit wobbly, some collectors have reported, because essentially the model is somewhat of a budget-friendly option, and the build quality is okay. An important aspect to note is that yes, as I mentioned earlier, you can remove a shelf if you have bigger figures, but the shelves are not adjustable. You cannot adjust the height to vary the range between shelves, the distance between shelves, as you can with some of the other cases that I'm going to talk about. And the next display case that I want to talk about today is also a budget conscious option, the IKEA Blaliden, the descendant of the Detolf. Now this display case is a little bit more vertical in nature. It's a different vibe. It has 3 movable glass shelves, so you can adjust them. Each shelf can hold about 6.6 pounds, which is plenty for Hot Toys figures, and it does come with a spotlight included if you want to display that, but I would recommend something like Luke lights that you can install in these cases that are going to look way better. Some of the pros of the IKEA Blaliden is that it has glass doors and glass shelves. This allows for quality viewing. It keeps dust out while letting a good amount of light in and allows you to really look at the figures in a good light. The tempered glass is very safe and gives a nice clean look. It's 59.5 inches in height, which I think is pretty cool. It can accommodate a lot of different figures. It doesn't have a ton of width, which we'll get into, but that vertical space is very appealing. The adjustable shelves, I do like that. You can adjust them to whatever your needs are, depending upon the figures you want to put in that display case. I think the metal frame is also high quality. It feels like a very quality case, and I think it feels like it's going to last you quite a long time. It's not going to break down on you. And I think it also has the possibility of easy cable management. You can put Luke lights in this thing and conceal them very effectively and have a nice, very clean, streamlined display with this one. The IKEA Blaliden is also a lot smaller than its previous, I guess, predecessor, you would call it, the IKEA Detolf, which you can pretty much only find the Detolf on Facebook Marketplace or eBay or something like that these days because it's been discontinued by IKEA. The next display case that I want to discuss is actually this guy right here, the Apex Chaos Ultra, a very good display case option. This Apex case is really suited for one figure at a time. It has about 10.23 inches in depth, 10.23 inches in width, and 17.44 inches in height. So figures should be about 15 inches tall or less when posed normally. And I think it's really cool because you have a museum graded glass front panel, you have acrylic side panels for side viewing, and you have a ton of lighting options. And you can do a lot of dynamic different lighting modes that I think really make this case really come alive and bring the figure to life that's inside. These cases are also fully stackable with other Apex cases, so you can build quite a cool display with, just Apexes if you want. The lighting options are excellent. So color temperature control, different lighting modes like the hero hero mode. You can use the remote to just do a bunch of different things. With mine, I just click the buttons and see what it'll do, and it's pretty cool just to watch. It's very entertaining. It has a very cool visual quality to it. Again, great clarity with the glass front, minimal distortion. The side views with the acrylic are also fantastic. And also, again, as I mentioned, very stackable. You can get a ton of Apex cases, put them together, and make a very clean display with one figure per case. Some of the cons, I guess you could argue that the dimensions are a bit modest. The width, the depth, and the height are a little bit modest. They're built for one figure primarily, so you're not going to get a ton of figures squeezed in there. You could maybe squeeze two, but I'm not sure it's going to look as good. Maybe a smaller figure in there might be okay. I do think also that the price is a bit premium, $150 per case to display one figure. That can be a lot. And if you're concerned about budget, there's definitely better options out there that are, more bang for your buck to display more figures. So overall, it looks amazing. It's museum quality, but if you have a large collection, it's, got some downsides, especially if you're budget conscious as far as your displays. Another very popular option for quite a long time now is the IKEA Billy bookcase. There have been a couple different variations of the Billy bookcase over time. The one that I can find right now on the IKEA website is 31.5 inches tall, 11.75 inches in depth, and 79.5 inches in height. It says you can include 66 pounds per shelf. I find that questionable. I'm assuming it's a lot less than that, but overall, this is a very nice display case. It has a lot of good height for multiple figures. You can adjust the shelves. 79.5 inches in height is quite a bit, so it gives you a lot of flexibility for different size Hot Toys and bases there. You also have glass doors that protect from dust, so it keeps the dust off the figures, which is important for preserving paint and detail. The visibility is good, and overall, it has a strong visual aesthetic to it. These Billies cost about $200 from IKEA, and considering it has a good build quality, glass doors, and a pretty good amount of height there, about 80 inches almost, these are pretty good value. Some of the cons for the Billy, the depth can be a little bit difficult to work with. Under 12 inches in depth, 11.75. That can be difficult for bigger display bases or bigger figures or different types of poses, depending upon how many figures you want to put on one shelf at a time. So that can be a little bit problematic. It can also be prone to tipping because you also have a very tall display case here with some significant weight to it. So you do want to monitor that over time. But other than that, the cons are pretty few for this one. This is a pretty good option. For these, I would absolutely recommend the Luke lights. I'll put a link to Luke lights in the description below. Luke lights are very high quality lights, and you would need to install these on your own in a Billy bookcase, and that would be a pretty easy process. So if you want good lighting, that's the route to go if you want these cases. Next, I want to talk about custom Hot Toys display cases. These can be a little bit tricky because they're custom tailored to you, but there's a lot of work involved. There are a variety of different custom Hot Toys display case options out there. You can go through Pop Culture Living Room, it's a great channel. 6Scale Shiro also did a great video on these display cases. There's also Posing with Peter, who did a video on this at one point. So there are a lot of great options out there, so I'll link those videos in the description below. But some of the pros of building a custom display case is it's the perfect size. You're building it to control whatever dimensions you need so you can display your collection in the way that you know you're going to need to. You control the height, the depth, and the width, so every figure can fit comfortably because you've built the case to the dimensions that are perfectly tailored to your needs. You can also choose the materials. You can use acrylic, you can use glass, you can use wood, whatever you want to use, you can do that, but you have to be ready to put a significant amount of work in. These cases are one of a kind because you have built them specifically for you. But in terms of how you execute that vision, that's going to be the difficult part, which is why I've linked those videos that detail a little bit more about the process in the description below. Today, we're going to get into just the basics about what are the pros and cons of it, but I don't love them myself. The reason I don't love custom cases is that it can be expensive, albeit less expensive than Moduspace, which we're going to talk about in a sec, but it's also very time consuming and it can be somewhat stressful. DIY builds can cost a lot more than expected once you factor in the tools, the hardware, and of course the time you factored into building these cases. There's also the risk of design mistakes. So if you mismeasure or mess something up, you could start all the way back at square one, and it can be a frustrating experience, albeit still a fulfilling one if you're successful. It makes sense if you're a DIYer and you really want to build a display that's perfectly tailored to you without paying high-end dollar for it. If that's the case and you're good with your hands, then go for it. But otherwise, I would advise a different path. But finally, I want to talk about the Moduspace display cases. These are what you see behind me in all of my videos. As a Hot Toys collector, there are three options you're going to want to consider in the Moduspace catalog. They have the Moduspace 6 series, the Moduspace Mono, and the Moduspace DF series. I have a Moduspace 6 series guide that is very in-depth, linked in the description below, but today I'm going to go over just the essentials that you need to know. And just a heads up, I am a Moduspace affiliate, so I am a huge fan fan of Moduspace and I am affiliated with them, but I would not recommend them and use them for my display cases if I did not believe wholeheartedly in their product as the best. Moduspace 6 series are primarily designed for 6 scale figures, so lighter, smaller, more for moderate sized figures, more so than statues or anything like that. They can vary quite a bit, but I tend to go with the Moduspace 6 165 cases. You have a 655, a 6 110, and a 6 165. These cases can vary quite a bit and they're all modular. They're stackable, they're adjustable, so you can tailor them to whatever you need. You can also order custom Moduspace display cases. Similar to mine, I have a Moduspace 6 series. 2 of mine are 25 inches height, which is a custom height, where normally they're about 19 inches in height, which my other 2 are. So you can email Moduspace directly and allow for custom quotes and cases and things like that, which can allow for a very customized display without having to do all that extra work yourself. Moduspace display cases are very high quality. They're built with metal frames, they have acrylic plexiglass, and they have a wood floor base with a laminate over top. These are very substantial. Moduspace display cases are also modular in nature, which is where the name comes from. So you can stack them vertically or horizontally, and you can build a very quality display that suits your needs and your space. I wouldn't say there are cons with Moduspace as far as quality is concerned, but I would say with any of these cases, the cons are the build and the wait time. The build is a little bit of a difficult process. The instructions have improved over time, but the build can be a quite strenuous and difficult and frustrating process as you're trying to make all these components fit in the very precise ways they need to. But once you figure out how to build one Moduspace display case, all of them are pretty much the exact same. So once you figure out the railing system, you got it down, you learn the language, and you will be proficient in no time flat. The wait time is also a concern though. If you order custom cases, you're probably waiting about a year and a half, honestly. If you order standard size cases, you're probably waiting about a year, 2, possibly even a year and a half. The wait time for these cases is substantial. These are forever display cases. These Moduspace display cases are a bit more expensive than anything else we've discussed on this list thus far. For example, the 6 165 cases that I communicated I use in my display earlier, those are about $400 per display case, which allow you to display probably about 10 to 15 Hot Toys comfortably. So if you're looking for other display cases, I popped a link in the description below so you can check out all the prices, but these are forever display cases that you're investing in a long-term capacity for. These are your future-proof display cases. That's their purpose. I really like my display with the 6 series figures. I think the 6 165s are perfect for my setup, but you could also go with a combination of the 6 110s, or Moduspace has wall combinations where they have package deals with a bunch of cases in one specific product. And I think that is a pretty cool offering too, to have a SKU where everything is built in for a really cool wall display. Now, the Moduspace Mono is a very vertical display option. What that truly is an IKEA DTOF killer. It's a Moduspace display case with acrylic panels on the doors, on the sides, and acrylic shelves as well. You can also get black laminated wood shelves if you like, but I would highly recommend the acrylic panel shelves. I think they look a little bit better. The dimensions are a little bit different than the DTOF, as I'll show on screen here now. The IKEA DTOF was a very strong display case for its time, but I do think the Moduspace Mono took all the strengths of the DTOF and improved upon them and enhanced it to make a better quality display. You also have a Moduspace Mono with a price of $220 before shipping, and I think that's pretty reasonable considering that's barely more expensive than the Billy bookcase and other options like the Brottar that we've already discussed, and the build quality is going to be far superior, which I think is going to be worth that little bit of extra cost. The Moduspace DF series are a great option for 6 scale collectors. If I had to do my display all over again, I definitely would have considered the DF series a little bit longer, because what you can do with those is have 2 layers or levels of figures. So you can have a full shelf in the back with figures raised up, and of course a layer of figures, a row of figures in the front to make it a really cool, I guess, museum-like display here. It's pretty great. The DF series can vary in their measurements, and I do recommend you look on the Moduspace website that I've linked in the description below so you can see which cases best suit your needs. But the DF series are built for either figures to have multiple rows or larger figures, or maybe a quarter scale statue, something like that. So they're a little bit more versatile in that way, where the 6 scale cases are built specifically for 6 scale figures such as Hot Toys. The DF series can be a little bit more dynamic and versatile for figures or statues, depending upon the look and types of collectibles you have. The thing that's great about the DF series is that the prices are really pretty similar, if not exactly the same as the 6 series. So that's a very good plus for the DF series in that you have more versatility and you can pay probably similar prices out the door, which is pretty great. And that's that, guys. Thank you so much for joining me for this video today. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like the video down below, subscribe to the channel, and click the notification bell so that way you're notified when content goes live here. Let me know which display cases you use in your personal collection. If you're brand new to Hot Hot Toys collecting, or even if you've been around for a while and you're considering adjusting your display cases and getting something new, let me know which of these options are most appealing to you, because I would love to have that discussion with you. For me, I'm not changing from Moduspace anytime soon. I love what they offer, and they've raised my collection to a level that I didn't think was possible, which I've said many times now, but I wholeheartedly believe it, and I will always say that because it's the truth. Guys, thank you so much. Make sure to follow me, will.foxification on Instagram, willfoxification on TikTok. Lots of great content over there. And if you enjoyed this video, again, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Guys, thank you so much. I always appreciate you. I will catch you in the next video. Peace out. See you later. Bye.